feel the need to state this. It's Monday, August 3rd, and that is the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Vegas Golden Knights. It's amazing. It's hard to keep track these days. It's such a weird environment. But yes, the Vegas Golden Knights will launch the round-robin portion of the 2020 Western Conference Stanley Cup playoffs against the Dallas Stars later on this afternoon. Welcome to the Morning Skate Report. Daren, Millard along with Gary Lawless, the Vegas Golden Knights insider, and we're pleased to be joined by the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon, who joins us from inside the bubble in Edmonton. Kelly, I know that this has been a wild few months for you. Just emotionally, where are you going into this day a few hours away from the debut?
Well, we feel real settled in Edmonton in the bubble. We traveled on Sunday. We had the opportunity to get some practice time in, the exhibition game, and now with our first round robin game set for today, we feel prepared and eager to get started.
Kelly, have you noticed a difference in intensity between the qualifying games and the round robin games? And if so, what intensity level do you want from your own team today?
Well, the games have been really good games, with the exhibition game that each team played. And of course, one of the, benefits of being in a bubble like this is we get to watch all of the games. So the exhibition games, I think teams were working through some things, and there was, some real good stretches of play. And, like every team here, some areas where teams would want to clean some things up. But when the qualifying round started, and really the round robin game yesterday between Colorado and St. Louis was, I thought, a tremendous game. The pace was very high, two extremely good teams, and it was a real good hockey game. Minnesota-Vancouver last night was a very good game. Felt, every bit like a playoff game, as well as the game in the morning between Arizona and Nashville. So those were the games in our hub, and it's been great hockey, and we expect to have a real good day here today ourselves.
When you evaluate your team, what steps do you want to see from the exhibition game into the round robin game today?
Well, you are working towards looking like the team that went into the pause. That's the goal, and to be in mid-season form, ready to head into playoff hockey. The time we had with our team in phase two, which was 5 or 6 weeks, with virtually all of our team there. The 2-week training camp, which of course was the first under head coach Peter DeBoer. And then, again, some more prep time this week here in Edmonton. So, I feel that, there's a lot of things about our game that I liked. And with respect to that exhibition game that we did play, there was a lot of positives. And yet, you just have to keep working towards it. Everybody is in the same boat. But I've found the level of play to be very good, which probably speaks to the time that teams have had to work on fitness, team play, and that type of thing.
What do the Dallas Stars do well as a team, Kelly?
Well, very good defensive team, and that's really the identity of the team, is they play great team defense, very strong goaltending, and then some offensive stars with, Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, Pavelski, who was brought over from San Jose, Dennis Garionov, who's had a real good season for that team. So they're really strong that way. Some good mobility on their blue line with Heiskanen and Klingberg. And, every team we play is going to have, some real strengths, and we need to be mindful of those, which we are. And then at the same time, our goal, our objective will be to look like our team can look. That's really what we're stressing here early on.
It sounds like when this format was announced in May that the round robin teams, it was assumed, would use it as a tune-up for the first round of the playoffs. But in hearing the comments from your players and your coaching staff, that has evolved to the point where that number one seed is the true objective.
Clearly, I don't think there's any question. And even in reading, some of the comments, for example, from our opponent today, that's how they view it, the game between St. Louis and Colorado yesterday was high intensity, high skill, close, hard fought game that was, definitely like a playoff game. So, the teams in the round robin need to play like that for two reasons. One, you look at ourselves, we were 8 points behind St. Louis going into the pause. With a good week, we could come out of the round robin seeded number one. So there's a lot at stake with respect to the outcome. And then secondly, the teams that are in the round robin are going to go into the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs against an opponent that's coming off a qualifying series victory, where obviously they're going to be feeling good about their game and be coming in having played a series and are playing the type of hockey you expect at playoff time. So for our team to be ready for that challenge, we need to make real good use of the 3 games here in the round robin.
We saw Marc-Andre Fleury in the exhibition game, and we get to see Robin Leonard today in the round robin game against Dallas. You acquired him at the trade deadline. What do you like about Robin as a goalie?
Well, he's been one of the top goalies in the NHL for the last 2 seasons. He has played well in his time in our organization. Again, for him being a new player, not unlike Alec Martinez, not unlike Nick Cousins, even Zach Whitecloud and Nick Waugh to some extent. He's had the opportunity to be around our team now for a while, to be part of training camp, and he's had a really good camp. He's been, very good, as you would have seen in the scrimmages that we had as part of training camp, but even just in terms of the practices at training camp, he looked real good. So he'll go for us here today, and we expect that he's going to be real solid for us.
In a strange way, you would think that the time off might deter the progress of a young player, but to the opposite, Whitecloud and Waugh both look like better players than they were. They were excellent before the pause, but it looks like they've taken a step in their development during the pause.
Well, one of the realities of the pause is it created a large window for players to get better, and it wasn't what anybody expected. It wasn't something that we could prepare for. But for a young player like a Nick Waugh, or as you mentioned, Zach Whitecloud, it was 4 months of remaining in Vegas, training every day, working on their strength and conditioning. And they've come back, I use the term when we've talked about it, Gary, they look a year older. And I think that's exactly what you see. I've seen it with other young players in the tournament here, in the games that have been held here so far. And, again, they were off the ice. So if the pause was 4 months, they were off the ice for likely at least half of that. And it's interesting with today's player, they probably over the course of a 12-month calendar year are ever only off the ice maybe for, a maximum of 3 to 4 weeks at a time. And I've always been of the mindset that sometimes it's good for a player to be off the ice for a while and, not worry about those aspects, but worry more about the fitness and the gaining strength. Any young player, wanting to get stronger, it provided a great opportunity for that to happen. And you can see that our guys made real good use of that time.
Kelly, I was having a conversation with Dave Gosher on the VGK Daily podcast yesterday, and we started mentioning a couple of players that weren't in the opening night lineup of the regular season. And I was kind of surprised myself at how long the list was of players that will play today that weren't in the lineup back in October. You've kind of turned over a significant portion of the lineup and added a lot of depth over the course of the year.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation this week ourselves. I think it was 6 players, if I remember right, which would be, correct me if I'm wrong, Waugh, Stevenson, Whitecloud, Martinez, Cousins, Leonard would be 6 players that wouldn't have been in
right.
The opening night lineup. And it's really strengthened our team when you look at the impact that each of those players, and you've got, some real differences there. You've got some young players, you've got some experienced players, you've got every position. So it definitely has made our team better. And that was our objective. We wanted to try to strengthen our team if we could, and I think from a personnel standpoint, we did that.
You've got the Henderson Silver Knights logo on today. It looks fantastic. How do you like it?
Lots of compliments, Gary. People kind of look at you, then they look again, and I've had lots of compliments on it. I think it looks great.
Excellent.
You've done a lot of scouting across the country and in small barns and bigger barns, but watching 3 games a day in that place must be a dream come true.
Well, it is, and yet I just made the comment yesterday. I'd never say to a Brandon Wheat King scout that, boy, watching 3 games a day is a lot of work, because in that business you can watch 7 or 8 a day. I will say the rinks that they scout in are probably no colder than Rogers Arena. It's definitely been chilled for ice conditions, but it's a great opportunity to watch hockey, and it's a tremendous time in a season when you get to the playoffs, and to be able to see these teams in this setting is really valuable, and I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to watch the other teams here from the Western Conference.
Well, you've done a lot of work setting the table for everybody, and now the players get to do their part starting today with the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Enjoy opening game against Dallas. Kelly, appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
There's General Manager Kelly McCrimmon inside the bubble in Edmonton. Pete DeBoer mentioned yesterday, and we'll have a conversation with him on the AT&T Sportsnet pregame show, that this is emotional. I'm sure it's a little bit emotional for the manager as well. For sure. And actually, I was talking to Kelly yesterday, and I, said, well, "Are you watching the game?" And he said, "I'm at the game." It was a Western Conference game, and then he said, he goes, "If there's a Western Conference game on, I'll be there live." This is a chance to, to scout and prepare and to see all of those, see a lot of the teams in the Western Conference in a live setting. And also Kelly he's a coach, he's an evaluator, he's an executive. He'll have he'll prepare his own book, and Pete DeBoer and the coaching staff will, if they choose, if they want to hear from him, they'll be able to get a great insight from a very experienced hockey man. Dallas Stars, the opponent. First time that the Vegas Golden Knights will ever face the Stars in the National Hockey League postseason. Max Pacioretty will not play today, and that changes things up a little bit from the plan going in, but it will be the same lineup that was iced against the Arizona Coyotes in that convincing exhibition win. Yeah, the injury to Max, obviously, I think when Karlsson is between Stone and Pacioretty, it's an elite line, a top 5 line in the National Hockey League. You take Pacioretty out and you put Stevenson in, it's still an excellent line. Chandler Stevenson does some things better than Max. Max does some things better than Chandler. Max is a better scorer. Max is a purebred 30-goal man in the National Hockey League. They don't grow on trees. So that line, it drops a little bit. The depth that the Golden Knights have, however, make sure that there's no trickle-down effect. You take Pacioretty off that line, and it loses a little bit of its scoring pop. But the second line stays the same. The third line, you move Cousins onto the wing on that line, and Cousins is actually, for me, a better wing than a center. And that line with Waugh and Tuck is still, I don't think that they drop off significantly from having Stevenson leave that line. And Nosek has played a ton of hockey between Carey and Reeves. The whole point of this is, yeah, you lose a little bit off the top, but the rest of the lineup really, I don't think is affected. I don't think there's significant trickle-down effect. Now, if they get another injury, that changes things. I think the next player that would come in would not be a bona fide NHL player, would not be a player with a ton of NHL experience. It would be more of a player who's a prospect and learning, or a veteran depth piece that just doesn't have the same pedigree as what's in the lineup right now. So the depth has served them well, and that's at the forward spot. On the blue line, they've got a ton of depth. Like, you've got to go. You've got Englund, you've got Merrill, you've got Haig. Some real nice pieces there that they could insert if they had an injury on the blue line. He came over at the trade deadline, and they didn't really get a chance, the fans I'm speaking of, to get an opportunity to embrace Nick Cousins.
Yeah.
But I think, based on not just his performance against Arizona and the 3 points, but what he brings to the line, to personality, inside the dressing room, I think this guy is just going to blossom.
Well, he's a double-digit scorer a number of times in the National Hockey League. He can produce. He has, he's got this reputation for being a disturber. That is one part of his game, but he's a very accomplished hockey player as well. He goes to the net. He's got a little bit of finish, and he plays smart. You'll see Pete DeBoer rely on him in late game situations because he's a guy that doesn't rattle and knows what to do with the puck. You saw him there burying it in the empty net to ice things off for the Golden Knights in their exhibition game.
One trend that we've seen early on through 2.5 days of the Stanley Cup playoffs in Toronto and Edmonton is the standard with the officials is very high as far as what they're going to call. You're going to get some power plays, and if that happens with Vegas going over the next couple of days, St. Louis on Thursday and Colorado on Saturday, Riley Smith's going to get a lot of time.
Yeah, listen, I don't think you want to take penalties. I think, if you watched the Chicago-Edmonton game, Edmonton got into penalty trouble against the Blackhawks, and Chicago really made them pay a couple of power play goals. The referees are calling it tight for sure. I think you want to skate. You don't want to obstruct. You want to keep your stick in good places. You don't want to be tugging. They're going to call that. That to me, the stick infractions have been really tight. You put your stick on the other player's gloves, you're going to sit for 2.
And whether the Golden Knights are on the power play or killing penalties, Smith goes out there.
Yes. So Riley Smith, I think we've heard a lot of talk about the seasons that Stone and Pacioretty have had. Riley Smith, for me, is right with these guys, has one of the best players for the Golden Knights and the most consistent players. He had 27 goals at the pause and 27 assists, 54 points. That second line was a bit of a revolving door. They had different players on it quite a bit during the season, but Smith was, for my money, their full value all season long. Pete DeBoer put Smith and William Karlsson back together as a penalty killing unit during their training camp here prior to the postseason, and they're dangerous. They have really high hockey IQ. Riley is an excellent skater, and he's very competitive. He's a quiet guy, but his motor runs real high, and I know that he really views this as an opportunity to win. I don't think Riley Smith is motivated by a lot of things other than winning, and this is an opportunity to win the Stanley Cup. He's ready to go.
We are going to see a lot of firsts in this game against the Dallas Stars. First encounter with that organization in the Stanley Cup playoffs, a round robin we've never seen.
Yep.
And also, first time that it won't be Marc-Andre Fleury starting in goal in a Stanley Cup playoff game for the VGK.
Yes, well, I think Kelly McCrimmon, he just spoke about it. Robin Leonard has been one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League the last couple of years, and this will be interesting. We saw the Nashville Predators. Pekka Rinne had played in 89 consecutive playoff games for the Nashville Predators, and they went with Saros in their first game. We've seen, Henrik Lundqvist was a surprise starter for the New York Rangers. I don't know what DeBoer is going to do with his goalies. I think he's going to rotate them. From the exhibition game, it was Fleury. Now it's Leonard. My guess is it's back to Fleury and then back to Leonard. And then prior to game 1 of their opening round series in the Stanley Cup tournament, he'll make a decision. But and I don't think that decision, and you and I we've debated this a ton. We don't know what Pete's thinking, and I don't think Pete has made a decision about it. Like, will it be a straight rotation? Will he pick a guy and let that guy run with the ball? Will it be you play until you lose? There's all kinds of ways he can go. That's one of the biggest storylines for me where the Golden Knights are concerned.
Marc-Andre made it more difficult on Pete with his performance in that
fantastic
exhibition game.
Yeah.
And he had to battle through. He didn't have a shot for 17 minutes in the first period and was still great.
Well, listen, he's won 3 Stanley Cups. He took the Golden Knights to the Stanley Cup in year 1 of the franchise. He's going to the Hall of Fame. This is a fantastic goaltender. He has battled injury. this year, and I think some mental fatigue as well. He was the only answer for Vegas for most of the first 3 seasons, and now Leonard arrives, and there's another option. And I will tell you this: Marc-Andre Fleury wants to win the Stanley Cup this year. Would he like to be in net for that Stanley Cup victory? Absolutely. But he'd rather win a Stanley Cup and not be playing. Do you know what I'm saying? Than be playing and not win. So they'll figure it out. Pete DeBoer has got 2 great options, and they're in the best goaltending situation across the National Hockey League, and I think that's a really good thing. We did the math. If the season is going to be over, the latest is October 2nd, correct?
4th,
October 4th, correct. That's right. So from when it started on the 1st, it was 65 days. And you're going to play, if you play the maximum, the maximum for Vegas would be 3 in the round robin, plus the exhibition game, and then 28, you get to 32 games in 65 days. That's a game every other night. And in playoff hockey, which is way different than regular season. The pressure, the amount of bumping that a goalie takes, I don't think one guy can do it. I think you're going to need both guys, and not just for 1 or 2 games. I think you're going to need a substantial contribution from both goalies if you expect to win the Stanley Cup, and that's what Vegas is here for. This is not to go deep. This is about winning, and if you can protect both guys by using both guys, I think it's a great strategy.
Yeah, even more fortuitous because they didn't know this format was going to be like this when the trade deadline occurred, and Kelly McCrimmon and his group still acquired Robin Leonard.
Yeah, no, Leonard was acquired for insurance because, frankly, there wasn't another answer. And when Fleury got hurt, everyone in the organization held their breath for a week to 10 days or however long it would be. And Leonard adding Leonard. DeBoer just went to a straight rotation with these 2 guys pretty much as soon as Leonard got there, and they were both fantastic as a result. They were both fresh. They both felt good. I'm not sure that's not the way to go.
Yeah,
I know you think that's
awesome
crazy.
Conversation, though, and it's great debate. And there's actually a couple of situations where that conversation is taking place around the National Hockey League. When it comes to the Dallas Stars, today's opponent, it is the 3 seed versus the 4 seed going into the matchup of this round robin. And the Stars are a really fascinating group themselves. A terrible start to the year. Experienced a coaching change midway and turned it on, and then hit a bit of a slump towards the end, right before the pause. So it's hard to gather what is the true Dallas Stars.
They have been an underachieving group for me for a long time. They have got some high-end talent. Jamie Benn is, an Olympian for Canada. Tyler Seguin is one of the best scoring forwards in the National Hockey League. John Klingberg, a really nice puck-moving defenseman. Miro Heiskanen has developed into a Norris Trophy conversation kind of player. Rick Bowness was, he said flat out late in the season, this guy should be on the ballot. You should be voting for this guy, for Heiskanen. Bishop is an elite top-end goaltender. They've got all the pieces. Radulov is an X-factor guy for me. He can hit you. He's a mini Ovechkin for my or Ovechkin light in my parlance. So there's lots to like about the Dallas Stars, but they haven't really got it done. And they've burned through coaches, Lindy Ruff, Ken Hitchcock, Jim Montgomery. Obviously, that was a different situation. And now they have Rick Bowness, who is one of the most likable guys in the National Hockey League with his hand on the tiller. But there's been no extension or permanence put on Rick Bowness by GM Jim Nils. So the Stars are a bit of a puzzle for me. Wouldn't surprise me if they ended up going on quite a run in these playoffs, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were down and out early.
They were a bounce away from going to the Western Conference Final last year, and they would have
always something
against the St. Louis Blues, and it came up just short. So yeah, they're a tough one to figure out, and all that offensive talent and they play the lowest scoring games in the National Hockey League this year. So it's like they're caught or stuck just in between.
When you're trying to figure out your identity, I think Jim Montgomery said to them, we can't be run and gun. We have to defend. So that they took away from their offense. You have to really find who you are and find the right mix. And the best example I've seen so far of that, the Columbus Blue Jackets. They played to their identity last night in a win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. They were perfect. Like, they did everything that they wanted to do. The Leafs did not have an answer for them and really were it kind of surprised me that the Leafs looked surprised at the way Columbus was going to play. Like, there's no secret to John Tortorella's teams. They do the same thing, and they've done the same thing for a decade plus in the National Hockey League.
Work hard, be disciplined, structure.
And the Leafs just, they didn't have an answer. The Leafs looked ill-prepared, and with four months plus to get ready for that hockey game, I'm not sure that's the way it should be.
Well, here's something to keep in mind and watch today when you take in the Golden Knights against the Dallas Stars is Rick Bowness, coming out of the pause in Phase 3, has put a new offensive plan in place. Wants players in different spots and trying to generate more offensive zone time. And he admits it is something that is ongoing, a work in progress.
Yeah, and that's kind of scary at this point in time. I get it. He probably said to himself, well, if we play the way we were playing when we went to the pause, we're done.
Right.
So I'm going to make a change. And listen, that's a guy like Rick Bowness, who is a career coach, had been out of the head coaching position for a long time. They fired Jim Montgomery. They put him in. He's going to do it his way. If he's going to go down, he's going to go down being Rick Bowness. And so he made his tweak. And it really comes down to the players, though, at this point in time. How will they respond and how will they execute? That's a big question mark for them. Might turn out to be a plus, and it might turn out to be a disaster.
Rick Bowness leads all coaches in National Hockey League history for most games behind a bench. Not head coaching,
yes,
but most games standing behind a bench. So if there's somebody that can handle this bizarre situation that we're going through, he's seen it all.
Yeah, Rick has seen it all.
This is new. But I wonder, from a Vegas point of view, is this a hard game to prepare for, scout for?
Well, you know the players, right? But the system is obviously different. So where are they going to be? Listen, the Golden Knights are never going to not be prepared. This is one of the best coaching staffs in the National Hockey League. Pete DeBoer has taken 2 teams to the Stanley Cup final. Steve Spott's been with him for a long time. They know each other's in and out. Spott is an innovator. He is a real detail guy. You watch what they do out of the face-off circles, off-face plays off of face-offs in both offensive and defensive zones. Spott is a master at that. Ryan McGill, to me, is a coach that I'm not sure that he's not going to get his own bench again. He's had them in a bunch of different places, never in the National Hockey League. I don't think it's too late for Ryan. I think he's a special coach. He's done great work with this defensive group here in Vegas. And Ryan Craig is going to be a head coach of the National Hockey League. He's a guy on the come for sure. I love Vegas' staff. They are prepared. They will be prepared always and forever.
Does the fourth line start?
Sure, why not? To me, you need to manufacture a little bit of emotion in these games. And if Ryan Reeves or Will Carrier runs a member of the Dallas Stars through the back wall on that first shift of the game, then that's out the window. You don't have to manufacture any emotion. They'll be rolling. Shane Knighty says it best. I love this line from Shane. It's from his first ever broadcast in the National Hockey League. He said, 2 ways to get into a game. You either give a hit or take a hit. And I think that's the way the Golden Knights, they'd prefer to give it.
I loved what Pete DeBoer said. If we didn't play an opposition soon, talking about that exhibition game, Ryan Reeves and Will Carrier might have been taking a run at the coaches. They were that amped up, ready to hit somebody for real. Robin Leonard starts for the Vegas Golden Knights against the Dallas Stars. Round-robin game number 1. St. Louis lost to Colorado yesterday, so the Avalanche have 2 points on the board. And the most points in this one will get in this round robin will get the number 1 seed for the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. AT&T Sportsnet pregame show is at 3 o'clock. Puck drops just after 3:30 with Dave Gosher and Shane Noddy. And on the Vegas Golden Knights radio network,
We'll be there as well. Dan Duva and myself and Ryan Wallace with the pregame.
radio or TV, we have you covered as the Vegas Golden Knights launch the 2020 Stanley Cup playoffs today against the Dallas Stars.